Hey, all, Andy here, helping you build a career you love. Got a great show for you today. We're going to help you build a career development plan. That's what it's all about. Get in, say hi. If you're here with me live, I've got a great agenda packed for you. We'll review that in a second. If you're watching this on the recording, welcome to you. Jump in. If you are here, we are going to do a Q&A at the end of the session. So if you have any questions along the way, put some question marks in front of your questions. Please make sure to let me know where you're watching this from. And if I have any of the people in my leadership coaching program, make sure you use your leader hashtag. This one's for you. And I always love having boot campers with me and everybody else who's in the Mile Walk Academy, as well as all of you that follow me each week at my live office hours show. So great to have you. Love to say hi. Ramon, Michael Moore, LK. Tori, what's up? Michael Tay's up in the middle of the night. Jason, Mark, James, Chaley, great to see you. And Kara's always got my back. Everybody give Kara a shout out. None of this works without her. What's today about? It hurts me. It hurts me because most of the people that I've met in my life, we're talking that I've individually interacted with tens of thousands of individuals, they spend their entire careers in jobs below their talent level. And I want to bring you something that is my formula about how to get the most fulfillment out of your career to the point where you are taking on challenges that are worthy of you in a great way, bringing out the best in you for your most enjoyment and fulfillment, but also for the most value that you can contribute to this world. And that's what today's about. I think the title might be something around, does your career level match your talent level? But it's more than that. I have made it my mission in life to help people find jobs they love and thrive in them. Today is about what do you need to do explicitly, prescriptively, and what's the methodology that you can use. This is something that I've been using for the last 10 years or so, but we're also going to talk about the things that I've learned over the last 35 years of my life. So get in, get comfortable. One thing I want to say right away, and if you are here with me live, it's pinned in the chat. I have this rather thick booklet. It's 47 pages. I'm giving you the whole approach. It's like super, super laid out for you with all the steps and all the instruction. What you're going to get today is a verbal version of this, but it is my leadership booklet, my assessment, my skill building roadmap for you on how to build skills that'll help you max out that career level and max out your talents. I'm going to give you what I think it is, why I think it's important, the challenges I think you're going to face. We're also going to talk about the formula that I've built and the specific steps that you can take, and we're actually going to do this together. So I hope you have the booklet, or I hope you have a journal, or if you just want to listen and scratch some notes, that's great too. This will be up on my YouTube channel at least for a while, so you'll be able to see it as well. All right, so I want to go through the agenda here very quickly just to let you know what it is that we are going to be covering, and just so you have a kind of a taste of what we're going to be going through. I'm going to open up. I got a few comments that I want to make. Make sure to grab the booklet. It's pinned in the chat, or I'm sure Kara's put it in there. Download it to your computer, maybe even print it out if you got access to a printer right now. I do want to talk about what some of the issues are and why I think this is the case. I'm not going to make a generalization that people don't max out their talent because they're lazy and they don't want to. I'm focused on how is it that we can give you the formula so that you can put the effort in, so that you're following the right steps and doing the right things to actually achieve it. Right? It's your life. You can work as hard or as little as you want. But I genuinely feel that most people want to have the most fulfillment out of their career, want to add the most value. They're just not sure how. And that's what today's all about. I want to give you a little bit of an analogy of my life. I'm going to teach you the methodology that ultimately I think will give you the best ROI. I'm going to give you the 8 ingredients that I think need to go into your development plan. This is your career plan, your skill development plan. You call it whatever you want. This is about you growing skills to get better. I'm going to show you the exact steps. We're going to walk through building the plan together. And then I'm also going to show you where you can get more information about the skills themselves. that I truly believe are important for everybody to build. So we're going to go through all of that. We're going to have a Q&A, and it's going to be a ton of fun. Now, one of the things that I want to say to you is that to give you an analogy of what I mean about career fulfillment and success and having enjoyment and challenge and growing and growing and growing to make your life more fun and better, as well as adding value. So until I was almost 40 years old, I was an information technology and management consultant, and I worked with companies and I helped them improve their processes and their technologies. And I did lots of fun stuff. I earned a good living and I collected a good paycheck. I met a lot of great people along the way and helped a lot of really nice companies. And that was great. And it was a job. For me, it was a career. And I enjoyed helping people more than I liked doing anything that I did. And it was especially disparate because a lot of what I was helping companies do, much like everything in life, right? I would help them build large-scale technology solutions, but like everything, right? The world evolves, the world moves at a quick pace, and then a few years later, those technologies would be torn down, and new ones would pop up, or new processes would pop up. And I just didn't feel like I was making a lasting impression for the things that I was doing. And while it was nice and I was collecting a bunch of money and a nice salary, it just wasn't fulfilling to me. And I said, I wanted to make more of an impact. And how could I do that where what I was doing as a professional mattered more, I thought, in the world based on my criteria of what constituted value. So I said I would like to help individuals get better careers, better jobs, but I also like consulting to companies, so I became an executive recruiter. And when I was going through that portion of my career, which predominantly was from 2004 to 2019, where I recruited at a high velocity, even each year, even if things were going super, super well, I could really only help, say, up to 50 people get new jobs. And that was a great year. So somewhere between 2004 and 2019, I was helping somewhere between, say, 25 and 50 people massively change what they were doing. And while I was talking to thousands and thousands of people a year and giving and imparting whatever knowledge I could on them, I can only help so many people to such a level. And my aspiration was I wanted to help more people at a much greater capacity. I felt like what I could teach could help a lot more people. But in order to make that happen, I needed to add a new arm to my business. I needed to learn a lot of different ways to do virtually every business function in the business. And there was a host of other things, technologies, processes, tools, tool sets, systems that I had no clue about. And at this point in my life, I'm almost 50 years old. Right now, I'm 57. So this is 8 years ago or so. And so when I looked at how is it that I'm going to learn everything I need to learn, what is it that I need to learn? I was now going to be building a product and a service that an individual was going to buy. It was a business to consumer sale as opposed to a business to business sale, handshake deals, talk across the conference room table or on the phone. I had to learn how to develop relationships with people who didn't know me in parts of the world I'd never been to. And how was I going to do this? And I could create I had a blog, and I could write some lessons, and perhaps they could find it on the internet. Or what about podcasting, audio podcasts, video podcasts? I had no idea what it was like to teach a lesson or communicate with somebody through a camera when they weren't even there. And how is it that I create a product? How is it that I market that product or sell that product? I didn't know anything about email copywriting. I didn't know anything about email marketing. I don't know. I still don't know a lot about this stuff. And then there's constantly new tools, techniques, and other things that are continually popping up year over year that have to be learned. And then you have to figure out how people want it fed to them and how you need to communicate. And how do I communicate to a 25-year-old versus a 75-year-old? And how can I do all of this? And every single one of these things that I'm mentioning and all these new skills that I had to build, I had to figure out what to learn, when to learn it, what was going to pay dividends early. I had to build the skill. I had to find time in my calendar. I had to find people to help me, teach me to understand these things. And then I needed to put it in motion. And all of these things that go along with it, dozens upon dozens of skills. How is it that somebody can build those skills, build them quickly, shift their business or add or augment to their business, or for somebody like you, do a career pivot or do a functional pivot or whatever it might be? What's the formula? And that's what I want to give you. And it's going to take a lot of work, but I can accelerate that process. And I had to decide, was my desire to help people a true desire? And was I going to be, this is a big part, are you going to be willing to do whatever it takes to learn what you need to learn in order to become who you can become, to add the value you want to have? And that's a big deal because right now, beyond me and everything that I've learned, forget me for a second, for all of you, this entire world, think about today. This is my phone that I didn't have, like, I don't know, 20 years ago or whatever it was. This is all it costs for me to set up the business that I have. This is it. $1,000. This is almost no barrier to entry. YouTube's free. Podcast platforms are free, right? Facebook pages and Instagram pages and all these kind of things are free. There's zero barrier to entry. And lessons and instruction and coaches and knowledge has never been more accessible than it is, which means everybody has it, and there's no barrier to anybody jumping in and calling themselves a career coach or opening up a business or building a software platform or whatever it is, which means that there's going to be a lot of competition. What's going to set you apart is all of the other stuff I'm going to talk about today, because everybody's going to have access to the same tools, even people without money. Right? So when I think back and I reflect, was it worth it? To give you an idea, I said I helped 25 to 50 people a year get a new job. Today, because of all the effort that I was willing to put in and the pain that I was willing to endure because the desire mattered to me, which I hope your goals matter to you. When my head hits the pillow each night, between the time it hits the pillow and my eyes and I start dreaming and I wake up in the morning, 20,000 people around the world have watched a video of mine in some way, shape, or form. I like to think that they've benefited while I sleep every day, day in, day out, 365 days a year, year over year. So your dreams matter, your goals are worth it, but you're going to have to put the time in. And so 99% of businesses fail for a reason. The barrier to entry today is low, but survival is high. And you're going to need what I'm teaching you today in order to make sure, and it doesn't matter if you're running your own business or it doesn't matter if you're running your own team, just to be an effective employee and be valued by a corporation, what I'm teaching you today is going to matter. So I want to make sure that you get that and that registers. Okay, who's got it? Go in the chat. Who's got a desire? You can share what the desire is, or you can say, yes, it's worth it to me, or give me some kind of shout to let me know that you're here with me. I don't know how many of you are here right now, 100 and some odd of you. It matters to you, right? And so I know if you're here with me in the middle of the day, on whatever day we're recording this on a Thursday, it matters. So I want to make sure that you're getting the goods. All right, so now I want to talk about what it is, how it is that I look at development. And I thought to myself, okay, what's the formula that I use right now? How do I reverse engineer that and teach them? And there's 8 components that I use, and I'm going to tell you that in a minute. But if I was to get an Andy time machine, right? What do I say? Get an Andy time machine, right? Going back. So I'm going to show you what I learned over the last 10 years and what I do. But I'm going to take the last 35 years of my professional life, and I'm going to tell you, if I had to rewind the clock as a white-collar professional and do it all over again, how would I think of my skill building in terms of time? Meaning, what would I learn first? What would I learn second, regardless of what my job is, right? Doesn't matter if you work in an office or a restaurant, or if you're a consultant or an engineer or an accountant or a marketer. What are the skills that I would want to have? And why would I learn those first? Because the skills that you learn first are the ones that I'm going to outline for you, the layers, that is. Those skills tend to be the hardest to build, the ones that require the most nurture, but when built foundationally, not only give you the greatest ROI over time, but they make all the subsequent skills that you want to build easier to build, so it'll accelerate your ability. And just to give you an idea, now here again, I'm going to make an assumption that you have access to this booklet because I give it to you for free. Okay, so I want you to look at this pyramid here that I'm going to show you. And this is at a high level, and this is inside the booklet. I believe that every one of us, irrespective of what our function is, we become a producer. We need to operate ourselves, right? Plane's going down, put the mask on, right? Make sure you're taken care of. Make sure you're productive. Make sure you're focused. Make sure you know how to set your goals. Make sure you're organized. All of the things that go, make sure you're self-aware, right? Make sure you're all of these things. I'm gonna very quickly refer to, kind of some of the things I'm talking about here, but we're producers, right? We need to be independent operators and we need to be effective. And then what happens is we become, hang on, let me get my slides back up here. We become, actually, I hope you can see that. We become communicators, right? It's irrespective of what your function is. How do you develop communication skills, verbal, written, presentations, whatever it might be, in order to develop a relationship with someone, right? The bonding, the getting along with people, building communications. And then there's a third layer where we're talking about how do we use our communication skills, written, verbal, nonverbal, of any kind, to influence outcomes with our customers, our communities, our teammates, our bosses, our whoever that may be. So really about inspiring others in a positive manner. And then, sorry about this, folks. Here we go. And then the fourth thing is becoming a developer. How is it that we actually develop other people? So whether that's coaching one person or coaching a team or coaching a community or running the PTO or whatever it is, there are skill sets that go along with developing others. And actually, it's not just being a great motivator. Being a great motivator is part of the third level, but actually understanding how to help people grow is a completely different set of skills. And then the last, kind of final tier is becoming a visionary. And I know you might not be able to see it because my face is probably blocking it, but this is basically creating needle-moving ideas. There are formulas and ways to do this. So this is not being creative from an artistic perspective. This is being creative from actually manufacturing ideas that will create value in this world. Right? Trendsetters, needle movers, right? Things that make you more efficient, make it more fun, make it more lively. And so I look at skill sets in this regard. And in the booklet I've given you, I've outlined 46 of them. And just to show you kind of where that is, in the booklet, if you have the booklet, inside there, you're going to see that this chart that I just showed you. But underneath each one of these tiers, there is a listing of specific skill sets that you can build. And I think every single one of you needs to be proficient at all 12 of those, right? Focusing, integrity, building habits, having willpower, being confident, being able to plan, right? Making good decisions and so on. Now, I'm not going to go through all 5 tiers because I've given you the booklet. And today is not about breaking down the skills themselves. It's about how do you put a plan together to make sure that you are building those skills in the order in which you need them, because we all might need to become proficient at certain things faster than others, depending on our job. Some of our jobs are more analytical. Some of our jobs are more communicative. Some marketing, sales, right? Some of our jobs are managerial, right? And it depends on who you are and where you are in your career. But this structure allows you to cherry pick what you need and when you need it. And I'm going to show you how to do that as we go through the talk. So if you haven't grabbed the book, make sure to grab it. I do want to refer back to the chat. I know I asked you about whether this stuff matters to you. Hey, from New Haven, Ian. Is that Kioma? Is that it's your calling? That's why. Ian, Accenture, let there be change. Aaron, your interview tips definitely help me. Wonderful. I'm here with you. Nee, good to see you. It matters. Anna, yes, it's worth it. Michael Moore, yes, that's why I'm here. Jeff, let's do this. Fan of Andy, it matters. Amber, Ishbel, I love this. D, it matters. All right, so it matters. That's why you're here. And that makes you rare. It does. It's more rare than you think. All right, so I want to get into some of the components. Now, if you're going to build a plan, and by the way, what I'm giving you today is structure to build the plan and freedom to make it your own. You can put it in a journal. You can put it in a booklet. You can use my booklet. You can do whatever you want. You can do it electronically, although I think a physical thing that you touch is good emotionally and from a registration standpoint. And so what I want to do now is I want to give you the components of what I believe goes in a great plan. So think in terms of, I have goals and I want to build the skills to achieve those goals. That's what this is all about. So every action plan, you got to have goals. And I know this may sound obvious, and I'm not talking about having 25 goals. I'm talking about having a handful of really important goals that will guide you and ensure that you are transforming yourself. Did you hear me not say, I care whether you achieve the goal or not? I don't care if you achieve the goal or not. I actually don't. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I do care about you. But what I care about isn't whether you achieved your goal. I care about whether you transformed yourself. And that's what this is about, right? If you set a goal to run a marathon and you've never run before and you don't finish the marathon, but you somehow scratched out 10 miles or 20 miles of the 26.2, that's called victory to me. Even though you didn't cross the finish line, you transformed. So these goals that I'm talking about should come in a variety of fashions. They can be work-related goals, like, Andy, I have a presentation to give every other week in my risk management meeting, and I want to do that well. Andy, I have a workshop that I need to present and train 20 salespeople for in November. I want to do that well. It could be regular old work deliverables, and work deliverables are awesome goals because they are going to help guide you as to which skills you need to build. Most people, as obvious as what I'm saying is, most people don't connect skill building to their work activities. They don't. And when I get into some of the questions I want you to ask yourself, I think you will see. Every Thursday and Tuesday, I send you a digest in the morning. That's something I do every week, twice. Well, I should have goals around building my skills around email copywriting. But people don't do that. They just write the email with no thought or analysis to it. That's what I'm talking about. And then there could be some larger scale things like, I'd love to become a subject matter expert in my market and speak annually at the blah, blah conference. Awesome. Put it down. Put it down. So that's what I'm talking about from a goals perspective. And then, as I mentioned, what are the skills? So you need to decompose based on this goal. What are the specific skills I need to build, okay, in order to master it and achieve it? Now, I need to build the skill, but where am I going to get the instruction? I don't want to hear from any of you that your boss isn't educating you. It is not your boss's job to teach you. It isn't. It's great if you have a boss that will teach you. It's your job to learn, not his or her job to teach. Yes, a better boss teaches, but not all bosses teaches and don't expect it, right? There are lessons. There are programs out there. There are authors, coaches, trainers, speakers. There are training programs. There are certification tests, things like that. Lessons. Tools. There are ways to execute and operate your learning, and there are ways to execute and operate the actual execution. I have a tool right now. It's called a Canon M50 that I look through to communicate to you. But I also have a webcam that's sitting underneath it that I use if I want to practice when I use Zoom to try all of these things, or maybe look at my on-camera presence or something like that. That's just a tool, but it has to be thought about what do I need? There are coaches, teachers, educators, of course. There's a calendar. That expression, what gets scheduled gets done, is, well, usually true. But one of the things that is so important about that is it's never more true than when it comes to skill building. Why? Because what are you all, go ahead, it's okay. You don't even have to go in the chat because I know what you're going to say. Do you actually put time in your calendar to build skills? It's the first thing I look at when I'm coaching somebody on an ongoing basis, on a high performance basis, meaning somebody enlists my coaching to help them become the best marketer ever, or the best seller ever, or the best accountant ever. Okay, so they have goals of learning things and doing things and getting promoted and advancing and running their own business or whatever it might be. And when I ask them, where on your calendar is the time allocated to build the skills to get you from here to here, if you could see me, right? And they look at me like, huh? You're not picking that up between 8 and 5 or on the job, and your boss isn't going to teach you, and so, right? So you're going to have to allocate time on your own to do this. So you're going to need to sync activities just like they were work deliverables. And I would argue they're more important than your work deliverables, because you have to build you. And if you do that right, your work deliverables will be a natural byproduct of your ability to be proficient, effective, and so on. And that should come second, right? Don't think you're going to get better by just finishing the white paper. So you need to allocate time on your calendar. You need a tracker. This is really important. One of the biggest reasons that people throw in the towel, this is the second biggest reason. The first biggest reason is going to be the next thing I tell you, number 8, that is. But they don't really know how far they've actually come, because why? How many of you out there are guilty of always looking forward? Meaning, I want to, get promoted, and I need to build these skills, and I need to show this level of proficiency. And you're always looking at the gap. What's next? What's next? What's left? What do I got to do? Geez, I got to go so far. And you don't take the time to look back and assess where you are on your map and how far you've actually come, right? To see how much better you are. And you don't know how many miles you've traveled because you're so focused on what's on going forward in the gaps that you are constantly feeding yourself what you are not instead of what you have become. The tracker helps you do that, and it helps nurture your psyche to know you've made progress. And if you're doing it right, you got number 8 dialed in, is the metrics. And really, that's the success metrics. How are you measuring your progress? Your title is not your progress. Whether you achieve the promotion is not the progress. Those are outcomes that are nothing more than distractions that take your eye off the acts that you're doing that actually make those byproducts and end states happen naturally. But most people, they have the wrong metric that they're measuring their progress against, and they think they stink when actually they're making tons of progress. So I'm going to teach you how to look at these metrics, and I've spent an excruciating amount of time articulating it in that booklet for you of how to look at these. And we're going to go through some of that in the presentation today. But I want to make sure that you're dialed up here. Okay. First thing I want you to do is in the booklet, there is a leadership assessment. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, and we're not going to walk through it. There's an assessment. I want you to take it, have some fun. This is the top portion of the 75 questions, but I just want you to know there's 5 different sections of the assessment, and each one of these has 15 questions that you can go through and answer, whether it's never, rarely, sometimes, very often, and always. The reason I want you to do this part is I want you to benchmark yourself, and I want you to open up your eyes to some qualitative and quantitative things that you might not have detected. So all you need to do is go into the booklet and actually go through it. And let me see if I can pull this up very quickly. So inside the booklet, after I outline all this for you, there's an assessment. There it is. So you can see it. And then you're going to be able to score yourself on each section, and then you'll just summarize it for yourself when you get down to the end, and you're going to give yourself some notes and some assessment of yourself. Just have some fun. It's really about observation, opening your eyes to what might be the case. You might be thinking, I think I would have scored higher in the communication section. Why didn't I? Go back and look at the questions that you didn't score so well on. Kind of thing. This is step number, really 0, in order to make an assessment so that you have an idea of some of the areas you're going to focus on. So that's the first thing I want you to do. All right. After that, let's get back over here. Whoop. Hang on, got a bunch of things I'm moving about. All right, after that, I want you to review the assessment, and here's what I want you to ask yourself. I want you to ask yourself, what skills will have the greatest impact on my long-term and overall professional development? If you're in sales, empathy, human psychology, communication, right? Those are going to have the greatest long-term impact on you, right? So I want you to be consciously do this. What skills will have the greatest impact on my immediate professional results? Okay, so as an example, while communication might be your long-term, greatest thing, maybe you have to understand how the product works, but initially, I would argue for a salesperson that their organizational skills might pay a more immediate dividend, because there's a number of things that they're going to have to make sure that they become proficient in. And the fastest way to do that is their organizational skills, to make sure that they're disciplined, because discipline will trump talent in the long run for sure, but oftentimes it trumps talent in the short run. And if motivation ever wanes, your discipline is what makes sure you go through the motions. Meaning, when I walk in the office and it's 8 o'clock, by 8:05, I'm on the phone prospecting. I might not be great at prospecting, but I need to go through, put in the repetitions, and become comfortable with making my 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock hour mechanically sound by going through the motions, which will help me build the communication skills time over time. So that's what I'm talking about. Certain skills are going to pay dividends earlier on. And then what's the one skill that I can build or should shoot for that'll make building all the other skills easier, right? So I think I might have, told you this little funny story, but when I was learning how to swim a few years back, and because I wanted to do Ironman triathlons, and I didn't know how to swim, so I signed up for my first Ironman triathlon and swimming lessons on the same day, and I had this coach who was teaching me how to swim. And, she's giving me all these instructions. And I finally said, I'm like, hang on, Janine, I can't comprehend all those 8 things that I need to do better. What's the one thing that I can do? And the only thing I need to concentrate on that'll make all the other things easier. And she says, oh, okay, well, you need to make sure that you keep your head down in the water and so on and so forth, because then that's gonna change your body position, and your kick's gonna get better, and it'll be easier for your arm to be in the right place, and so on and so forth. Anyway, my point is, there's something in your activities that you do that requires a skill, that once you get that skill, it makes everything else, even though you have more skills to build, it will make you much better, much faster. And I argue that wherever you are in your career, you are all literally only one skill away from doubling your pay, right? If you are the marketing manager and you are the content manager, right? You write the content. The skill that you are away from doubling your pay is what? Understanding the marketing strategy, how to put one together, right? Kind of thing. I'd pay twice as much for that person, but we're talking about one major skill. So how is it that I look at the skills that I'm going to build and when I'm going to build them? Because I want the greatest ROI for the skills that I build. Okay, now the goals of this step are understand your strengths and opportunities for improvement, get the most important areas documented, and find that accelerator skill. All right, now we're just in the warm-up stage. This is your this is your assessment. So you're going to go through, you're going to look at that. Then what you'll do is there is a tracker in the back of the booklet that I gave you. It looks like this. It has each tier and all the different skill sets that belong to each of the tiers. What I want you to do is just go through and rate yourself on a 1 to 10. Where are you today? If you are really great at building good habits and you have an 8 on that, it might not require as much concentration as your productivity or decision making or planning or something else. But not only do I want you to rate your skills, but I also want you to take note of the professional relevance. I would argue on the one hand that all of these are related to each one of you, irrespective of your function. But some of you are going to require more proficiency in certain skills than others. Take note of that. There's a column there. Make some notes. And then the other thing is there is a timing component. If I'm looking at building my communication skills and I have a presentation in 2 months, that's going to be more urgent than something else that I might want to learn for 6 months down the road when I'm going to be creating budgets to plan for the following year or something like that. So the point is you want to make sure that your skill development is planned and time is allocated on your calendar, but you also want to make sure that you're looking at it and building skills when you need them the most. Okay, and this will make more sense as we start to get into the calendars. But keep in mind, at this moment right now, what we're doing is we're trying to get our arms around where are we today, what's going to matter in the long term, because it's really important to what I do, but what's going to matter in the short term because I have a work deliverable coming up and I need to be able to do it. Then, just like in the previous one, we're going to rate it. So you're going to go through the ratings. The goal of this step in the tracking of your progress and you're benchmarking yourself and you're surfacing what you need in the short term is to just identify the starting point and the level and to give yourself, just to be really clear on what it is, which skills are going to help you the most, and then which ones of those are you going to need to work on this month, this week, right? Kind of this quarter, so to speak. So you want to look at your professional needs. And I'm gonna get really prescriptive here in a few slides. The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to make sure that you figure out what are the goals that I have. So now when I mentioned, when I was giving you kind of the 8 buckets, we're now hitting the 8 buckets. What deliverables do you have in the upcoming year? Don't think about next week. Think about next week, next month, next quarter, and next year. Everything. Don't worry, you're not going to work on everything at once. This is you getting a good blueprint and be really, really specific about what those goals are. So if I have a budget that I know I'm going to have to prepare for my unit and my division, and that budget needs to be prepared in October, I want you to just notate, I have a deliverable in October. If you have a presentation every other Friday, note I have a presentation every other Friday. Are there personal goals? Do you have any kind of new goals that you want to do in January or whatever it might be? Perhaps my goal is to eat better. Whatever it is. But if there are personal nature goals, perhaps it's I want to speak at a conference outside of my organization. It's the industry blah blah that I want to speak at. Whatever it might be. When is that? If it's in November, when does the submission for your speech need to be in to see if they'll consider you? Is that March? Just those kinds of things. So you're just looking at what are my goals? What are the skills that I'm going to need? If I'm going to do a presentation that I'm going to be a subject matter expert, I want to do an industry or a conference presentation in November, and I have to submit this in March, your presentation skills don't need to be great by March. What needs to be great by March is your compelling arguments about why this matters. Do you know how to be persuasive? Can you write persuasive copy in terms of a memo or an email or a message that gets you sold into the conference kind of thing, right? So that needs to be thought about. You can't just whip this together. So I want you to think about what are all the skills that you're going to need in order to pull off something. And then which of the skills do you need to pay most attention to right now in order to do that? And then what I want you to do is I want you to get an inventory of goals. You don't even have to consider time right now. At this point, I just want you to inventory the stuff that you want to happen over the course of the year. Then what we'll do is we'll actually create a list. We'll figure out what they are, when they're due, all that good stuff. What are the skills? So you're going to have an inventory of goals. You're going to have an inventory of associated skills. Then what you need to do is you need to put some timing. You need to put a timing element in place in order to make sure that you're building the skills along the way in order to achieve the goal. So how do we want to do that? Now, this is how everybody that I work with on a high performance basis, when we put their plans together, this is what we do. And they love this. Okay? I want you to ask yourself these questions. What are the personal seasonal activities I do each year? So I want you to think about that. So every December, I seem to sit down and set goals. Every January, I want to build new habits. I want to I want to make an adjustment to my productivity system that I use. Okay, that's every January. Every April, I have huge tax deadlines. Every October, I have budgeting or whatever. Are there whatever these are, think in terms of things that are personal to you. And they don't have to be necessarily be inside your work deliverables, but just, I want to speak and I want to do it every year at. So what are the personal seasonal activities? What would the ideal time of year be to do that? So like I said, goal setting, that's January. Okay, make some notes. All right, January is a great time to do that. Right? Sometimes end of the year is a great time to build your reflection skills, get your reflective processes down daily, weekly, monthly. Maybe you want to try that in around Thanksgiving or around the holidays or something like that. So just think in terms of time. Then what are the professional reoccurring activities? Well, there could be reoccurring activities like that budgeting in October, or there could be other activities that are one-time projects that I like to do each quarter. Every quarter, I like to have a workshop. This quarter, I'm going to have this kind of workshop. Next quarter, I'm going to have that kind of workshop. So these are singular types of projects that I know I want to plan for the upcoming year. Maybe you have a big project that you're working on and you have, certain deadlines at certain times of the year. So you just want to think in terms of me personally, me inside my team and my corporation, and then are there ongoing things? So I think I mentioned a little earlier, every Tuesday, I have a newsletter that goes out. Every Thursday, I have a newsletter that goes out. Every 4 weeks, I have a leadership coaching session. These are ongoing activities. So I am continually looking at ways to improve them. Now, I could look at that on a weekly basis, but normally what I do is I try to run things for a while, see what's working, and then once a month I might review a weekly activity that I do like a newsletter and say, is there a way that I could get better at this? Is there a way I could get better at the email copy, more engagement, the videos I put out and the lessons? Are there things I should be changing? So you need to think in terms of inside the company, outside the company, discrete one-time events, as well as ongoing events. Maybe every month you chair the steering committee meeting. Is there what skills do you need? Could there be organizational skills you need to build? Could there be status collection that you become more effective in? The presentation at the meeting, can you be tighter with the way you explain something? Can you put it in better context for them? Can you become more influenced? There's a dozen skill sets that go along with that you need to build. How are you going to allocate the time to build those? But first you need to think, when does this occur and when do I have the opportunities, or when can I create the opportunity to actually put time in my calendar to build the skills? You won't do that unless you understand what your goal is, how proficient you want to become, and what skills you need to work on in order to improve it. Because there's one thing to improve your organization, but there's elements of what specifically do I need to change about who I am, what I do, and how I do it in order to make those strides. So you want to think through this, and I put this in the booklet. I write this out. It's all very clear for you, but the goal is for you to build a calendar that puts the flags down, times a year, when I'm going to do this, what skills I need to build, in the weeks and months preceding that are going to enable me to crush that goal. And so what you really want to put together is something that looks like this. So, in January, for example, I need to improve my time management skills. All right, well, you can work on that in January, or you can work on that in December or something like that. Perhaps you got this management team presentation in April. Okay, months coming up to that, maybe you're working on the messaging. Maybe you're working on your presentation mechanics. Maybe you're working on socializing certain things and building trust and pre-selling your ideas, things like that. But if I've got the presentation, instead of just focusing on building the presentation, I want to focus on building my skills that are going to enable me to make the presentation better. So I think you get the idea. In August, maybe you got a certification training. Okay, that means you need to be practicing and working and studying and doing whatever you're doing May, June, and July. You get the idea, but you want to put together something like this so that you have visibility, so that you're not lost in what you need to be working on. It's not overwhelming. Most people don't work on their skills because they don't have any organization that says to them, this month, this is what I need to be doing. This calendar or something like it is going to give you some visibility into when to work on what. And then as you're planning your weeks and you're planning your months and you're planning your quarters, it's going to be easier for you to see, I need to make sure that I create time in my calendar in order to do this. Okay, so that's step number 4. And then step number 5 is you got to have some help along the way. Okay, so I don't do any of this stuff, or I certainly didn't initially, by myself. So all of you have coaches that you follow. I like to hope at a minimum you follow me. Now, I know a bunch of you are here because you got job searching issues, but I know a bunch of you are here because you got career development aspirations. Now, there are, I don't know how many people are on here, almost 160. Okay, so you got 160 different people going in 160 different directions, doing 160 different things, living in probably 100 different countries, or wherever you are. You've got coaches that you follow. And by the way, they may be authors that you read, or people whose weekly videos you follow on YouTube, or their podcasts on Spotify, or whatever it is. Do they have premium programs or training programs that you could take advantage of? Do they have conferences coming up that, 3-day, 4-day conference that you might want to attend? If you don't think about in advance trying to do these things and leveraging people who are proficient at this, you're never going to get there. The time doesn't just magically appear. You need to proactively do this. At any of the coaches that I evaluate, because I don't work with a lot of them, I look at their websites. I try to see, what do they have coming? When do they have coming? What books do they have? What programs do they have? What type of coaching do they have? I want to look at all of that. This will accelerate your learning for whatever your trade is. What are some additional coaches? So there are, let's say you're a seller, and there could be sales coaches, right? You might look at some of those. There could just be psychology coaches, people who help you understand human behavior. Those could be 2 different people, right? There could be, you might want to study email copywriting. That could be a different person. So break down your skill sets into the most discrete ways you could look at them. And then, I need a coach for each one of these? Maybe, maybe not. But some of them are going to be worthy of having a coach for, and some of them are not. But you need to break it down, delineate those skills in order to look properly. And then what other areas should I consider? So you want to start building what I call a Frankenmentor, and it's okay to trade in body parts, but I got a coach for this, and I got a marketing coach and a YouTube coach, and I got a this, or I got a that, or whatever it might be. I don't have that anymore, but you know what I'm saying? You will build a collection of coaches. I call that your Frankenmentor. They don't have to be people that you meet with. It could just be people that you follow and study. But I want to make sure that you are consciously curating coaches to make sure that you have the lessons that you need so that you know how to practice, build the skill, practice it, and execute it, right? Search for opportunities to schedule the training, right? Whatever it might be. There are tons and tons of complementary things out there that you can grab to get an idea of what the coach offers or the style or the lessons. But you're going to be far more proficient at building your stable of coaches if you know which coaches to look for. Don't just scroll through your TikTok or your Instagram looking for people who have ads that are trying to sell you something. That's not a good way to look. That's just looking at what's in front of you. I'm talking about being really deliberate at doing this. So this is, if you are deliberately looking, I assure you, you will find it. You might not find it immediately, but you will find it. Okay. And then you need to look at the lessons. How are you going to get the proper instruction? So there are technology certifications. There are marketing lessons. I have that. Andy's got a leadership coaching program if I want to build certain skill sets. So whatever trainers that you want to follow, just make sure that you are finding the right lessons that are teaching you the right steps in the modality that you like. Some of you like to read it. Some of you like to see it. Some of you want to just listen to it. I don't really care how you do it, but it's important that you're thoughtful about how you go at this stuff. And it comes in a variety of things. And then, of course, your organization, your company that you work for might have certain training that they'll either have in-house or they're willing to support for you. But this is about actually looking at what are the different training areas and opportunities for me. What are they potentially? Even if you don't know if there's a class out there, are there things that you would like deeper instruction on? Make the list of what these are, because you're going to have to go and find them if you truly want to build the skills. And then where you're following your coaches online. A lot of people have seminars, or a lot of them have group Zoom sessions. I follow coaches that some of them have paid subscriptions. Some of them offer free monthly Zoom meetings if you want to participate, because the Zoom is their marketing, and then they're looking to engage you on a one-on-one basis or whatever it might be. Just try to figure out what's out there, gather the information so that you can sort through it. But again, don't just go to training to go to training. Don't just buy books to buy books. I want you to be thoughtful based on the calendar you created. I only want you to concentrate on certain things at certain times. This is the reason why most people are much slower at building their skills, is because they're just trying to catch as catch can. I want you to be deliberate, thoughtful, and focused. I only work on certain things at certain times, and I designate times to do that. So this is really important. Then there's going to be tools that you want to look at. Now, a tool could be anything that helps you practice. So perhaps you want to practice your presentation skills. Maybe you need a camera and a tripod in order to practice your pitch at the whiteboard or the billboard or the TV screen or the whatever. A little webcam is a tool. There is software that helps. Maybe there's productivity software that you could use to help you with an organization. Whatever it is, just look at what tools will enable me to get better faster. And the one piece of guidance here, in addition to finding the tools, is I would not go spending a lot of money on the fanciest and latest things unless you know whether you're going to use them and you have your processes dialed in before. Getting the latest food app on your iPhone isn't going to do anything if you don't have the habits down of going to the grocery store and buying the right groceries a couple times a week, or Instacarting, or whatever the heck you would do to get the food into your house, instead of not planning your meals and those kind of things. So it's important that you're looking at things that way. And then I look at, is there something I'm doing where it's taking me a lot of time manually, so to speak, where I can get a tool to automate it. There's a ton of AI tools out now that expedite things that I might do manually, like cut videos and things like that. So anyway, in the tools, it's really about identifying tool sets, creating a list of potential areas. Again, you're in the planning mode right now. You don't have to go and research all this. You need to make notes so that when the time comes and you're trying to build a skill, you know what tools are going to support that process. And then this one, this is probably, you could do everything right. You could do all the first 7 steps, 8 steps or so that I've given you. But if you don't have this dialed in right, you're hosed. As just ain't no other way to say it. Because I know people who are doing all the right things and making all kinds of progress, but they don't reflect, and they don't reflect on the right metrics, and they think they stink. So I spent a lot of time breaking this down in the booklet for you, where I go into detail specifically about what I'm about to tell you here. The questions I want you to ask yourself, I think of metrics in these terms. Is your productivity improving? And when I say productivity, I mean, are you getting faster and are you getting better or more of? So what does this mean? Well, like, for example, when I created my first video, it took me a long time to script it to make sure I had all the points. I had to shoot the video, which I didn't really know how to do. That took me long to do. And then I had to either try to like edit it or whatever. All that took a long time. And now it takes me no time, like minutes to script it. What do I want to tell them? What are the 5 points? What's the stories I'm going to use? Boom, boom, boom. 10 minutes, it's all done, right? That's faster. Then there's the communication, the engagement with you. Well, my videos and live shows now are just more, they're more engaging. I've done nearly 1,000 of them, right? I should be better. But is the quality there? So did you make the widget faster? Is the widget better, right? So these are metrics that you want to look at in these directions. Then there's the quality, right? Is it improved, right? Is the video cleaner? Is it whatever? Is the sales pitch better? And then there are process attainment goals, I like to call these. So in order for me to make the sale itself is an incidental outcome. How many calls do I need to make in order to make a sale? 10. Did I make the 10 calls? Okay. Can I measure myself on the quantity of calls? So goal number 1 is put in the reps. So can my metric for the week be 50 calls, not 5 sales kind of thing? Because the sale is an outcome you don't control. The 50 calls, no one can stop you from making. That's a process attainment goal kind of thing. Some of your skill sets, but I didn't go into all the skill sets, but some of your skill sets are going to be, and your progress, you're going to want to get some observable feedback. So maybe you use external sources like your boss. You could use performance reviews or something like that. And then the other things that you might want to take a look at are, how do you feel about it? Well, I didn't feel really confident when I was speaking in front of the large group. Now I feel better. If you feel better, that's progress. Your quality may or may not be better, but this is another way of considering, how do I feel when it's my turn to talk? It's just an example. And then another one could be, well, how about your relationships? If you're wanting to gauge your ability to become more trusting, some of that is going to require someone else and the strength of the relationship that you're building, or your ability to influence them or engage with them or get you to trust them or whatever it is. So you might need to evaluate, do I consider my relationships improving? So when you look at metrics like this, you want to think about, what are the appropriate metrics for what I'm doing specifically? I give you examples in the booklet, and I go through all this in more detail, and I define all these to give you stimulators so that you can come up with the right goals. And one of the other things that I want you to come out of this step with is, What are the indicators that I'm actually going to use to gauge my progress along the way, and make sure that you've got the intermediary goals. When you start a new job and you're a salesperson, your goal is not sales. Your goal is getting a process down that will lead to sales. Make the calls. Am I getting the leads? Am I building my prospect base? Those are your goals. And what else is important about those kind of goals? Right? It's all of these things are within your control. So you want to pick the right kind of metrics. You want to make them in your control, and you want to evaluate your progress against the metrics you've set that are 100% within your control. And yes, of course, you want to make sales. The marketing person, their goal is what? Get leads. Am I getting more leads? Okay, great. Then the next goal is, am I getting leads at the cheapest amount? Okay, that's another goal. Am I getting leads? Yes. Am I getting leads at a cheaper amount? Yes, that's progress. Am I having a higher turnover conversion rate from the lead to the customer? If I'm getting more leads, but we're not turning them into customers, I need to continually refine and improve in order to. It's this kind of stuff that you want to evaluate when you're looking at your skill set. So make sure that when you look at your metrics, you ask yourself, is this in my control or not? I really spell this out in the book, okay, in the booklet that I gave you. And if you haven't grabbed it, please do. And then when you track progress, I just want to make sure that you're reviewing it. There is that track progress worksheet in the, that table in that sheet in the booklet. Just make sure that you're setting periodic reviews. I review things on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. Some things I need to review every day. Some things I need to review once a month. Some things I need to review once a year. Your life is going to be the same thing no matter what you do. There's some things you're going to want to review on a daily basis. Some you're going to want to review on a weekly basis. No matter who you are, you will never feel successful unless you take the time to evaluate. Go back to your benchmarks. Am I getting better at this? How would I grade myself now? But don't, it's not like, hey, I want to lose weight. I'm going to get on the scale today. I'm going to go for a run tomorrow. I'm going to get back on the scale. All right, well, that's not realistic. You're not going to lose 10 pounds in one day, or at least you shouldn't, kind of thing. So goals of this step is making sure you're going through the motions, meaning you're putting in the time to actually evaluate and reevaluate. You want to make sure that you're evaluating goals set by you that are within 100% within your control for the most part. It's okay to have some outcome goals you don't control, but I want to make sure that when you're evaluating your progress and you're reflecting, these are things within your control. And then I want you to make sure that you're looking for new ways to iterate and improve. Okay, so those are kind of the steps really quick. Now I want to go through the action items. And next thing is, here we go. Grab the skill building workbook. I'm not sure if anybody's having trouble. Kara just popped it in there again at around 12:01 IC. So make sure you're getting this booklet. Take the assessment. It's fun. Don't be overly critical. You can't fail. It's just to open your eyes and make you ask some questions and think about, does this sound right? Why doesn't it sound right? It's a little self-awareness exercise, so to speak. Benchmark your skills. Use the track your progress section in the booklet to do that. Identify your goals. Make sure that you are syncing your goals with your, make sure you're syncing your skill building acts. Attach them to your goals. I don't just start building skills, right? I set my goal first and I focus on a work deliverable, right? If I want to have a workshop and it was the first workshop I was ever running, I had goals that needed to be in place about meeting the date and the deadline that I set for the workshop. My goals were not around how many people were going to buy the workshop. My goal was, how do I make sure I set up the instruction? How do I make sure that I market it effectively? How do I grow my email and social media copywriting skills in order to put together compelling messages that would make people interested? Am I focusing on? Am I learning this? Right? So just make sure that you're using your goals to pull you towards the skill building activities that you need to do. Don't just start building skills haphazardly. So you'll naturally build the right ones based on what it is that you need to do. Go out, investigate the coaches, look for the lessons. It's really important that you have the right metrics. So I'm just recapping kind of the major steps that I outlined for you. And here again, there's a lot more detail in the book. I really spell this out for you. And then iterate, but stay on the overall plan. And I want to make sure that if you are thinking about, when I look at this, you are putting together a blueprint. You're not doing all your skill building at once. You're building a plan so that you have the right kind of goals based on what you want to accomplish in your career, what kind of roles, jobs, businesses you want to build, what skills it's going to take to build them, what's the sequence to do that based on what I need to get accomplished at my work, or what I want to accomplish by opening a business, or whatever it might be. Don't just start building skills. Make sure you're using the goals that are goals based on time frames that allow you to work backwards to fill in your calendar with time for you to build the skills. And if you want more on the lessons, I do have a leadership coaching program where I not only help you with this methodology that this approach I gave you today, but I also am going to give you access to all of the lessons for all of the skills, the 40 some odd skills that you need to build. So today, this portion of today anyway, is really about what are the steps that I want you to take in order to put together a plan that helps you with the near-term goals that you have and the long-term goals that you have. And you could put a multi-year plan together if you'd like. I have a multi-year plan together. It goes out. I mean, I can see, I'm like, right? I'm 1,000 days out. But now I understand that can get overwhelming for people. So I want to make sure that you have a manageable time frame. Now, you might think, well, Andy, geez, I can't see past the next hour, let alone week or year. It isn't about doing everything at once. It's about sitting down for an hour and thinking through and literally scratching out, like literally take one of these things. Take one of these things. This is a blank notepad that Andy uses. And literally just draw your 12, 13 columns, goals, skills, months. Start popping stuff in it. And you will laugh at how fast you can put what I just showed you together, especially when you have the booklet and you have the steps. So it's really about getting your arms around what it is that you want to accomplish. And I think when you start building the skills and you start working toward what it is that you want to become proficient in, your goals, you will start achieving your goals at a faster rate, and it will be a lot more enjoyable. You'll do better at work, or you'll do better in your businesses. You're going to accomplish more, you're going to add more value, and you're going to feel a heck of a lot better. So if you enjoyed that, if you're here with me live, click that little thumbs up button if you got a lot of value out of that. I do want to spend a quick maybe 5 minutes or so and just let you know what's going on with the leadership coaching program. So a lot of you know me from my job searching curriculum, but I have a leadership curriculum as well. The job searching side of my what I teach, my curriculum, the palette, is about finding a job. But my leadership coaching program is about building the skills within this methodology, all the skills that I would associate with being a producer, being a communicator, an influencer, a developer, and a visionary. Those are the ladders. But there are topic brackets that I teach on. And I want to give you 5 minutes on that in the event you're interested, because we've got something coming up these next few months. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. But just going back here very quickly, if you're interested in more, it's a monthly subscription, or you can enroll annually. But basically, the methodology that you just saw today is the approach that we take. You get the booklet, you get all that good stuff, and we have over 70. Actually, it's like near 100 when you start throwing in the bonus courses. And to give you an idea, this might make it a little bit easier for you to see. But in this booklet, which is free, and these are the steps of what I just presented to you today. It's all in the booklet. All that's free. And you might say, well, Andy, geez, that's a lot of free stuff you're giving. And it's true. Except inside this booklet, what you're also going to see is there is an index down here of all the skills at each of those tiers. So at the producer tier, at the communicator tier, and all of these hyperlinks are links into the leadership library where I taught on focus, on habits, on willpower, on energy, on confidence. Tomorrow, if you're here with me live, we're talking about imposter syndrome. And so all of this inside here, you have this booklet, so you have these links. If you're a member of the leadership coaching program, this takes you to your library, and inside the portal, that's where the lessons are. So when I say over 70 lessons, this is what I'm talking about. There's all of these lessons and many, many more that already teach you how to do the skill sets that I would put in the developer tier: hiring, building teams, managing people, motivating people, coaching, delegating, those kinds of things. So all of that is in here. You can look at that to get an idea of what I've already taught on. And then all of that's organized by, it really is organized by different topic group. So I teach on lifestyle and wellness. I teach on organization and productivity. There's success and high performance. There's communication and influence, building relationships, building teams, and all that kind of good stuff. So it's organized in your library by topic. And then we meet every month. And so it's literally like every 4 weeks. And we have a live group coaching session via Zoom. We do them once a month, and tomorrow's is on overcoming imposter syndrome. So this goes along with building confidence, and how do you actually go through the steps to not only overcome imposter syndrome, but to become proficient at what you're doing so that you're not feeling like an imposter. And then we're coming back in October on the 20th, and we're going to be talking about how do you put together your employee value proposition? How do you look back at all the value you contribute, and how do you use this information so as you're going through your career and you're going through your performance reviews that you're getting promoted, you're getting paid more? How do you make those arguments and all that good stuff? That's just a sneak peek of what's coming tomorrow and in a month or so from tomorrow. There's a library with all the video lessons. You get workbooks like the one that you just got, although they're not all almost 50 pages, but they're very detailed write-ups of the lessons that I give each month. You have access to the entire library of collateral. And then the other thing, and this might be even a little something new for the people that are in the program, but we have a private community group that has leadership spaces. On Mondays, we're going to be circulating through the community, and anybody who's in the community who has their settings set appropriately will actually get an email alert, because every month, now that when I teach the lesson, every Monday, I'm going to be facilitating a message on what part of the monthly challenge to work on, because in addition to teaching you the steps and going through some reflection exercises, I also have a 4-week challenge in there to help you groove the lesson and actually practice it. Every Monday going forward, we're going to be circulating messages to the leadership crew on what they should be focusing on that week. So if they want to work the lesson, we'll facilitate the lesson and the execution of the practice and all that good stuff. I'm really excited about that. That's each Monday. And then just to give you a different kind of look at what it is basically focusing on all my strategies and tools and techniques for building your career and actually living a pretty good life. You can join us as long as your membership is up to date and paid and current. You can come to the monthly sessions. You can get access not only to the replays, but to the full library of sessions. They're each about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. We do have Q&As and those kind of things. I put the replays up the same day. So tomorrow, the imposter syndrome replay is going to be up right after the session. You have access to the library as long as your membership is active. And then when your membership isn't active, if you cancel it, meaning you cancel it on the date it cancels, then you no longer have access to it. It's just like Netflix, right? So if you enroll today, no matter what, you have an active membership for the next 30 days until until October 21st, when we're doing this on September 21st. And if you enroll on an annual basis, we have yearly subscriptions, you're good until September 21 of the next year. I do offer online support. There are some bonuses. There's a Career Accelerator 5-module training session or training program that I give to anybody, so no matter what enrollment package you're on. And then there are a couple of bonuses that I throw in. If you're an annual member, you get my goal setting masterclass, which is a 5-module, very deep dive in everything goal related, how to think about them, how to set them, how to work them, the 4 different kind of goals there are, how to put the sheets together, the sheet samples, and all that good stuff. It's really, really cool. And the productivity challenge is probably the favorite piece of training, my favorite piece of training I've ever built on how to run you, meaning run you, run your career, run your weeks, run your days, run your months, run your life, everything, how to mechanically get stuff done. And then there are a lot of nice things that people say. Rachel's been a longtime member of many of my programs. And the thing that I love that she said about, it's not just that the program is amazing and awesome, but that it really helps people pursue their own dreams and goals. And that to me is a big part of what I think makes people unhappy, is they have dreams, they just don't know how to accomplish them. And so I want you to have goals, and I want you to have tactics to attain those goals. And then Billy's an awesome guy. And the thing I love that he said is it's about, applying knowledge and energy to each person's individual situation. Even though I might be speaking to a bunch of you, a lot of what is inside these lessons can be tailored to you. We can engage in the dialogue that's specific to you. And I always say to people, I won't quit you if you don't quit you, kind of thing. If you're engaged, I'll be engaged. And RT, he 25-year veteran in the financial arena. This to me, when he was going through I think an evaluation in his life about what direction that he wanted to take and how it was that he wanted to attain the goals that he wanted to attain. And I loved working with him. And the thing that he said, and I had a few sessions with him about teaching from the heart. This is about, if you want to engage with somebody who's not just knowledgeable, but I like to think, and I want to say this to you direct to the camera, and I want you to remember this. And this goes for any of you doing anything, but especially those of you that have to engage with others a lot in what you do. And when you start getting into the upper tiers, the communicator, the influencer, and the developer tiers in your learnings, if you're in sales or you're in marketing, or any of you that are job searching right now that want to be hired, when you need somebody else to make a decision on your behalf, to engage with you, to buy your product, to buy you, remember this. And there's a lot of skills that go along with this. I like to think, for any of you that are still here with me, the 100 and however many are still here, for any of you that have bought my training, whether it's the leadership or any of the job searching stuff, I believe this to my core. You don't buy my stuff, or even if you're just in my community and you come to my Thursday shows, you don't show up each week because you understand me. You don't. You show up each week because I understand you. And that's really, really important. When you are building relationships, when you are influencing people, when you are motivating them, or anything that you're trying to do to connect. If you can't do that, you're never going to be bought, so to speak. You're never going to be hired. You're not going to be promoted. Your customer's not going to love you. And for those of you that are in my age bracket, I want you to really remember that when it comes to ageism, is that it's the identification, is that getting the person on the other side of the table to understand and believe that when I look at my 35 years of experience, I understand what it's like to be you. I understand, I can't understand what it's like to be a woman, but I have enough experiences from different people around the world where I can understand the challenges you face as a professional. And that's important. And that has to come through in the teaching. It has to come through in the stories and the lessons, but it has to come from here too. And as you carry your way through your careers, remember that people engage with you not because they understand you, but because they believe you understand them. So I want you to think about that. And that's a big part of what Raul was saying there. And so, I didn't get into, kind of all what the big bonuses are. But I do at least want to mention here beyond that, this message from Mike about, and this is on the overview page too. Speaking from experience, you would pay at least $5,000 for an MBA class on leadership, and it will not provide as much value as Andy's leadership coaching program. I love this testimonial from him. He's a great member and has been in multiple programs of mine, and it's true because when you think about it, your greatest cost in my program is not going to be financial. It's going to be with your time. And if you think about what it can do for you, this amount of money is peanuts. It truly is, because for less than $1 a day when you pay annually, so you pay $297 a year, you can have all those assets. You can meet with me every month, those kinds of things. Or you can pay less than $50 a month if you want to try it out and still get access to all that stuff that I mentioned. This isn't where this isn't where the real cost comes in. This little investment is nothing compared to the time and effort that you're going to need to put in if you truly want to make this happen for yourself and you want to grow the skills. It's all there for you. But it's not worth anything. It's not worth one penny if you're not going to put the time in. And I say that because I want you to go in eyes wide open. I don't want your money. I want your transformation, right? I need to run a business, but I hope you understand that this will not cost a lot financially. What it's going to do, if you really want to make it happen and you really want career growth, it's about putting in the time to make it happen. So I at least want to let you know that if you are in my job search coaching program, which is on the other side of my curriculum, we give you a bit of a price break on the monthly subscription. It's $39 a month. You can cancel it at any time. So if you got in today and you paid $49 and then you immediately canceled, you would have a month's worth of access to all the things that are inside, or a year's worth access to all the things that are inside. So I have a whole bunch of other testimonials and things like that, but I think I've gone on long enough. I think you get the message. If you're interested in building out the skills and you want to get bonuses like this, like the Career Accelerator, which is really about thriving in your job, early days on a new position, getting ready for promotion attainment, getting ready for your performance reviews, understanding some organizational skills, and so on. That's in there. The Productivity Challenge has everything related to how to run your life, how to run your business, how to put your lists together, how to run your and set your projects, how to manage your weeks, how to run your days, how to run your projects, how to build your energy, things like that. The goal setting stuff is all around setting and accomplishing major goals and major life systems that you want to set up. So you can check that out. Kara can put the link in the chat. Kara, maybe pin the leadership page in the chat so they can access that. And then here again, if you enjoyed this, click the thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on a recording, I'll see you next week. Otherwise, I want to go to the Q&A. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I hope you enjoyed that. I know I went through that really, really fast. Okay, I know that I did. But I was glad that you should have this. All 47 pages of it. I pour my heart and soul in this, people. I know you know that. So look through this. And if it's something that you like, you got any questions, support@milewalk.com. Happy to answer any of them, as you know I always am. Jason and the Argonauts, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Best content for career development on the internet. I appreciate that. That is overly kind. I will take it, though. Alicia Gregory, what's up? Oh, you just joined. Beautiful. Great to have you. Is it Sowanya? How often and how much one-to-one time with you on this membership? So there is no one-to-one time. This is a subscription in the program. We meet every 4 weeks as a group on Zoom. So tomorrow we have a Zoom session at 11. It'll run, an hour and a half or so. And then if you are, I have one-to-one coaching. I have a one-to-one coaching program. That's $5,000. And that's an introductory session, 5 additional sessions. There's some access to me and all that other good stuff. That's one way to do it. I also, for members of this particular program on the annual plan, will offer them a la carte coaching sessions as well. If you're interested in that, that's a separate service fee or separate enrollment fee for each of the one-to-one sessions. And Kara can help you with that if you want more details on that. Eileen, $297 for access for everything on the leadership. $297 gets you access to everything on the leadership. It does. It's not, with what you got, you will never be able to go through that entire library. There is so much good stuff, which means you want to tailor and put a playlist together for yourself. Going through the exercise that I went through with you today, if you do this for yourself, you now have my verbal view of how to go through this booklet and put your plan together. And then what I would do is everything that you need to learn is in the library. So you can go in there and you can put your own playlist together based on the calendar you want to set for yourself. And every month, I just keep adding to the library. So it's not like I take stuff away. Every month, the library gets bigger. When you get in, whether it's $49 a month or $297 a year, I give you everything. The only thing you wouldn't get is if you were on a monthly subscription, you wouldn't get the full goal-setting masterclass, but I do give you a goal-setting lesson. It's just 75 minutes, not 5 hours and 75 minutes. And then you do have some productivity lessons, but you don't get the full productivity challenge. That's if if you're on the monthly basis. If you have any questions though, email support. It's the money. If your career isn't worth $1 a day financially to you, that just means either you don't want the training, you don't want to put the time in, or you're busy doing other things, which is totally okay. If you got 7 kids at home and you just don't have time to build skills, you just need to go to work and you want to do well in your job and you do your best you can, that's cool. But if you want more, if you aspire for more and you are willing to put the time in, then this program is an inexpensive way to do that. Ishbel, hey all, this may be a silly question, but can you still build upon these skills while job hunting? Absolutely. No matter what is happening in my life, even on weeks where I'm with you 5 days in a row, I'm building skills and it's on my calendar. Whatever you're doing, if you're actually job searching, what's really nice is to take a break from job searching for 30 minutes or an hour a day and do something else. So that to me is just I want you to think about this. You know how the stock market goes like this, but we all hope that it goes up over time, and it does over a longer period of time, but it gyrates, right? And so it gyrates. So some weeks are busier and some weeks are less busy. Some weeks the stocks are higher and some weeks they're lower or whatever. And then you get your paycheck. And the best investors take some money out of their paycheck every other week or whenever they get paid and put it in and make investments or the savings account or whatever. And you do it no matter what is happening in the market and no matter what is happening. And that's the same thing with skill building. If you aren't paying yourself first and saving first or building skills first, they're never going to grow. And somebody who's doing that week in and week out is going to be far better off. Ian, I'm here. How you doing? Because I want to put my art hobby energy into my own work to make it better. I love it. Catherine, I agree with Andy. It's up to new starters to learn whilst on the job and to further ourselves. It is. All of you. Catherine, thank you for the prompter. All of you. You own your career. You can outsource a lot of things, but your career isn't one of them. It is not your company's job. It is not your boss's job. It's yours. And yes, great companies might pay for extra training and give you time to do things and study and whatever, but own it. Own it. Adam, goal to be a full-time filmmaker, need a day job till then, no joy with events despite efforts, also realizing zap my energy. Should I find more attainable role while doing film stuff in the evening? Okay, wait. So number one, I love that you show up every week. I love that you ask me questions. And I always like to say this. Wait, I totally appreciate that you want my opinion on this. But the one thing I always want to be clear with you, and any of you, Adam or any of you, I can't tell you what you should do. Meaning, I don't want to say, well, you should just do this, because you need to do what's best for you based on your situation, how you feel, your tolerance for risk, your faith in your ability to find this job or make the film business take off or whatever, and all of the other things that contribute to your decision making that I cannot simulate. One thing I would say is, if you have a goal to be a full-time filmmaker, but you need a day job, then I would find a day job that you feel you would enjoy to a reasonable level, collect the paycheck, and spend your evenings and your weekends doing the other business. I don't know if any of you truly understand this, but in 2015, when I designated July 1st, 2015, I consciously made a commitment to be a coach and a trainer in this capacity. I was full-time recruiting. I had people, Kara and other recruiters. We were recruiting like crazy. That was my full-time job. So all the blogging, all the videos, all the giveaways, all the gifts, all the PDFs you downloaded from me from that moment forward for years was done on extra time. Okay, so I mean, I had 2 full-time jobs. And so that's because my desire to do this was that strong, which meant my nights. I have journals of this. I've worked over, there was a stretch I worked 1,200 days straight without a day off. And I'm not talking about checking email on a Saturday. I'm talking about humping it. Okay, that's not a complaint. I'm talking about what I was willing to do to make this happen. So, Adam, I say to you, if your desire is there and you're willing to put the time in and you're willing to overcome the challenges or figure it out, I want you to do what you got to do to pay, yourself or earn some money to put food on the table until you can get your full-time job or you build the skills where somebody considers the experience that you have worthy to hire you, right? Kind of thing. So that's the way I look at that. And so you have to have your criteria in order. So I can't tell you what you should do, but I would totally support that if that's what you wanted to do, meaning I think that's a noble thing to do. Explore 1996. If we want to move to the next level, how much of what we focus on in an interview should be our current position if it's not in line with our vision? What if we had a previous role more in line? Okay, so, all right, it sounds to me like you don't want to continue on the path you're on, but you want to get back to something that you were before. That requires many, many steps of realigning your messaging and how you market yourself, because the interviews you attain should be in alignment with where you want to go, not where you've been. And this assumes that you're able to attain those interviews by rebranding yourself and doing some manipulation on your resume. If you're looking for more on this, I actually have a video on my YouTube channel about how to get an employer to notice your earlier experience, just like what you're saying. And then when you get in the interview, they should be focusing on and evaluating the skills in you that they need in order to achieve the goals they have and overcome the problems that they have that are standing in their way of achieving those goals. And that's where your discussions will be if you're in the right interview. You can't just go into an interview and attain that interview based on what you're currently doing and want to talk about what you did before. If it's the same thing, it's just that you have better stories from earlier on, you could pick and choose those. I read this as though you want to change back to something. And if the changing back, you're interviewing in the line of questioning and the discussions will be irrelevant as long as you're in the right interviews, if that makes sense. So I think that's what you were asking. Jeff, I've found that it's a must to schedule tasks we don't necessarily like to do. That is cold calling, working out, or building or skill building. Without scheduling, we'll find anything else to do in lieu of painful tasks. Well said. Well said. So I don't know that you can see this. Okay, this is my planner, like my self planner, meaning my 6 months down to quarters, down to weeks, down to day. And there's not one open minute on that thing at any day, at any time, ever. Not one open minute. Meaning I never go into a day. So if I go into a week, I inventory everything that needs to be accomplished that week based on long-term goals, based on what? Things that are due that week, things I need to move along, skills I need to build, people I need to coach, resumes I need to review, workbooks and things I need to create, talks for you, and so on. Everything gets moved into the calendar, Monday through Friday. Every minute is accounted for the night before the day. So I move everything into the week. If I have any adjustments, readjustments, there's never any open time. So it's a matter of what I'm trading out. And then the night before, I confirm that every minute is accounted for, meaning I know what I'm doing in that block of time. Yes, I can get interrupted or things might change. That's rare because mostly I can control that. But I will never have idle time, because with idle time, you'll waste it. I'm not saying it can't say between 1 and 1:15 break. It says break. That means I get to do whatever I want, or 1 and 1:05 break kind of thing. I know the dogs need to go out. I know the laundry needs to be folded. I know I got to cook the dinner or whatever, but there's not 1 minute of unallocated time because of what Jeff just said. And he's right. Stephen Green, can you speak to the importance of desire and choice when building an action plan? I feel it can impact success metrics. Okay. This is a good one. So, all right, okay. I'm trying to make sure I can get through the story without crying. All right, I decided that I was going to be a coach in this capacity. And I needed to give myself an amount of time to build the platform that educated the world that I was not just an executive recruiter, but that I was actually going to help you with job searching aids and other things. So between July of 2015 and November of 2016, so all like 15 months or whatever that is, 16 months, I said build mode, and the goal in 2016 was to launch the first product, which I did in November because I had a calendar. And what I needed to make sure of was that my desire to help people around the world in this capacity was so strong that no matter what was going to happen, I needed to realize that nothing is ever a failure. It's just an iteration. And that if you set the proper goals, at any moment in time, the joy to me is in the doing. So I need to make sure that the metrics are set up so that the joy is in the doing and that I never throw in the towel. And I'm going to give you a couple of really good examples. So when I launched the first product, I marketed the heck out of it. It took me a long time to build it. I had to do it all on overtime kind of thing. I built this product called the Ultimate Career Course. We went to sell it for $300 or whatever it was, and like 50 people bought it. Now, if metrics wise, I would have said, okay, we're launching this product. I need to earn $100,000 or whatever kind of thing. I'd have been like, oh my God, right? Like I stink. When the fact of the matter was, the success metrics were launch it, because you never did that before. So get a person, a human being, to buy a product from you. You never did that before. It was always businesses, right? You got 50 people. Oh my God, that now are customers. I had to learn how to take a credit card, get that up and running. I had to learn how to launch a product. All these things, check, 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 check. The success metrics were get it up and running, get somebody to pay for it, get some more people in your community, figure out how the hell to make them happy, like all those things. And so what happens is, what a lot of people do is they think, geez, I stink because I didn't make X sales. It's like, no, what did I learn? So then it becomes, all right, what did this tell me? That's how I look at it. I'll give you another example. So now I've been in business a while, been selling a bunch of stuff, make a bunch of money, right? Okay, well, what most people do is they say, this is how you guys live your careers. Well, I'm an analyst and a senior and a manager and a director and a VP. And if I ever take a hook back, I stink or I'm regressing. Okay. So some time ago, Kara could probably tell you, I don't even know which one it was. We set a record for the most sales in a launch that we did. That's our term, right? When we bring a product and have a promotion to you. And it was a record. And the next time we did pretty good too. But then some of the other ones weren't as high. So now if my success metric is, well, once I attain this, I have to continue to attain it every time, that's really bad. That's like, hey, if I earn this amount of money this year, I have to earn more the next year. Because what you're doing is you keep resetting happiness in your success metrics. Instead, what we do is this last one that we did in January or whenever it was, or July or whatever it was, we go into these and we say, what's unique about this launch that we do maybe 3 or 4 times a year? What can we do better now? I'm not worried about the number of sales. Yeah, more's better. But can we make it more engaging? The people that show up, there wasn't as many people this time as 2 times ago or whatever. Can we make it more fun for them? How do we make it so I can spend more time with them? Or wait, because I'm going to spend less time with them, what does that mean? Could we market this better? Could we do this better? What else, what other touches can we add? And so we look at success metrics in level of engagement. I'm changing lives, right? I'm helping people. So I get all this down and we get clear before it starts. And then when it's done, it doesn't matter. The number's the number. I'm not going to teach you any less. I'm not going to do any less. I'm not going to be less enthused. If there's 2 people here or 2,000 people here, you're going to get the same. Because a success metric for me is, did you give them everything? Were you engaging? Did you treat them with empathy? Did you care? Did you handle their questions properly? Right? All of these things that become part of what success looks like. So for me, it enables me to let the joy be in the doing. So I'm not worried about how many you're going to buy. What I just went through with you today, teach them the steps, show them the protocols, give them some examples. Those people who are interested in getting the lessons will jump in. That's it. That's all I'm thinking about is how do I go through this and give them the best and the most engaging show. And whoever wants to come to the party tomorrow will jump in, and whoever doesn't won't. And that is not going to define me or the success of this day, of this session. And so because my desire to be in this forever supersedes anything else that happens to me on any given day. And so what most people do is they agonize over what they consider to be a lack of success because their metric is screwed up. It's like some other coach, anybody, their metric today would have been how many people bought the subscription. And I will never let that be one of my metrics. And you might say, well, it's a bad way to run a business. I don't know, I'm doing fine, right? Kind of thing. Like I wake up happy every day. And so by having the right metrics dialed in, right, we get stressed out because of a couple of things. Our expectations aren't being met as if the world should operate the way we think. So was my expectation, I don't know, there's 150 people or 200 people on the show. Does that mean 60 of them should buy, or 6 or 3, or I don't know? What do I know about that? I'm not going to think about that. Those who want in will get in, right? And so I have no expectations. But I know that I'm showing up tomorrow, and whoever comes to that session is going to get the best overcome imposter session I could deliver tomorrow at 11, right? Kind of thing. Like that, like it's in there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. It doesn't matter if we hit a pandemic and I have to change all my content. It doesn't matter if people are working or not working. It doesn't matter if they want in or out of this, right? You have to be, no matter what you do, it has to be about you and what you can control. And when you're gonna get on a path. So like my career evolution, let's just take me from 2015 to now. I didn't know this is what it was going to look like on September 21st, 2023. I just knew I would be teaching. I would be writing books. I would be doing these kind of things. So because it matters to me enough to be, no matter what happens, to still show up for you. That's how you know. I am willing to endure anything because it matters that much to me. And any of you that think that way, you will get what you want. Maybe not overnight. Longer term you think, the better short-term decisions you make. You never panic. You would never panic. And that's why there's no panic in me. It's not because every month we make a lot of money. We don't. All right, I hope that's a great question, man. Michelle Lee, what's up? JD says must have ability to work in a fast-paced environment across a variety of initiatives simultaneously. What questions can I ask to learn if this is code for toxic, multitasking, unrealistic workload? You don't even have to ask any questions. I could tell you that it is right now from less than 200 characters. You don't need to put that in a job description. And that is, I don't know what value that adds in a job description, but that's usually an indication of it's a psychotic place to work. And I don't have a problem with you being involved in an environment that's moves along. My environment really moves along, but it's not toxic and crazy. And Kara and I do 80 things a week, but there's a pace to it because we're able to prioritize and reprioritize. So what I would ask, so number one, that's my opinion. Number two, that's a great question you asked me. So what I would say is, oh, I noticed that this is a fast-paced environment. I love that. Just say, I love that. I don't care if you don't love it or not. If you're going to the interview, you want to check this out. I love that. I like to accomplish a lot of things. How are the deadlines set? So give me an example. Okay, when you set a deadline, because I believe deadlines are a great way to get things accomplished, do you find yourself reallocating resources to meet the deadline, or do you move the deadline if you're unable to attain it? I just want to understand the operating environment. How do you determine who determines that? And you could ask questions that give you evidence of, we hit the deadline no matter what, Michelle Lee. Okay, that's code for 80-hour work weeks, right? Oh, we set the priorities, we put stakes in the ground, and then we have weekly status meetings to determine what the appropriate blah blah is. Okay, then that's probably not code for 80 hours a week. So that's Michelle Lee. There is a session in your boot camp, and it's assessing the cultural behavior of the employers in your main job search coaching program product. In the interviewing section, I would watch that. I give you the questions there. Drew, what's up? Hey, Andrew. I don't have a question. Oh, okay. Just want to say it's great you're doing these streams. I love it. Your vid streams help me loads in my recent job hunt and salary negotiations. I love it. Cheers to you. Jen Gregory Hart here. As a member of the leadership program, I will with confidence, the $297 is such a worthwhile investment. The live case studies are invaluable, and it is a highly welcoming community. She is a wonderful member of the community. As a matter of fact, she's so wonderful that was it last month or the month before last where Jen actually did a case study for the group. So we had a couple or three people share some experiences with us, give presentations, those kind of things, and that was great. I love it. Thank you for that. Nee, what's up? Should you wait to build the targeted skills before you move to a higher position, or build the skills while in the promoted position, assuming you get the job? So Nee, fantastic question. Okay, I will admit, and I'm going to watch me back, meaning I'm going to rewatch all of this. I know I shoved a lot of information out there, right? It's whoa, my God, that's a lot. I know it is. And when you're trying to build skills and you're trying to figure out how much time I should allocate each week to do these things, it can be overwhelming and a lot. So what I do is I try to build my skills based on my deadlines, meaning like I think about when's my workshop, when's my whatever, when am I going to, sometimes I just set arbitrary months. Like this month was set to start weekly facilitation emails for the leadership community so sometimes you can pop your own deadline. It also is a balance of how much time do you have. Do you actually have real estate on your calendar where you can say, I can start building these skills because I know they're going to pay over time? Or do you have other skills that would be more immediate, where you can more immediately leverage? One thing I don't think I said, and I really mean this, your skills will grow so much faster the more live targets you can do them on. Meaning, if I'm building my presentation skills, I want to be building them right when I'm going to give an actual presentation, not practicing in my home office, because then you're going to be able to see it in real life, right? You can't, play an NFL quarterback, playing 7-on-7 on the sidelines and running through practice is one thing, but moving at game speed is another, and you're going to learn a lot more. Same thing in our white collar professions, right? So I try to align my skill building with my work projects. And then if there's more time and attention I need to spend to something, I will do that. But, you, like everybody else, we have busy schedules. So we need to create some space in there to do this. So that's how I do it. I try to let my real life deadlines push me. Now, if it's a situation where you don't have a real life deadline, but building that skill will make you more effective at a job you want to attain, start now. I hope that helps. That's a really good question. Is it Yuchi or UK, or I'm not sure how you say it, UCHE. What do you look for in a planner? I use the Best Self Co planner. I want to be able to have, I wish everybody could take my productivity. Actually, Kara, can you do me a favor? Just because I believe that I have 3 videos related to my productivity challenge, not the whole ones, but like 22-minute segments on the YouTube channel. There's a cluster, a playlist, the productivity mini camp. And can you tell me, I believe it's still alive, meaning it's still visible. Can you just tell me so we can give, is it Yuchi, that we can give him that? Like we can point him to that? Because I outline exactly why I want open pages here, that I created 6 inventories, and I inventory my weekly activities so that they go into a time-based weekly calendar, right? Week at a glance. And then one half of these pages is allocated by day. I know on Thursday, an inventory of things need to be done. That's not my to-do list. It's just an inventory and an assembly that actually gets moved into a time-based view. And then the deliverable is associated with the time slot. The deliverable for today at between 11 and 1 says, give them a great show, right? At 1:05, I know what I'm going to do. At 1:05, I'm going to take the dogs out, right? I know what I'm doing between 1:10 and 1:15, and then I know what's going on between, and I know what the deliverables are. Yes, we have the mini camp out there. Okay, can you put the mini camp in the chat for them? Just put like the link to the playlist, and that'll answer for a lot of you that want to know productivity stuff. By the way, if you like the productivity mini camp, the productivity challenge is epic compared to what you're seeing. So you're seeing like an hour of a many hour program. And that is a gift that I give in the leadership program to people on the $297 rate. Meaning if you pay for an annual plan, you get the whole productivity challenge. So we have bite-sized 20-something minute videos, 3 of them on my YouTube channel that I ran, earlier in the year. So check that out. Aaron Hill, what do you do when you miss? Time gets pushed. When you say missed, do you mean like I have time allocated on my calendar from 1 o'clock to 1:30, but this show runs long and it runs to 1:15 and I miss? So every day I look at everything that must be done. Most important tasks, MITs, I call them, most important tasks. Non-negotiable, got to be done. if anything happened where I was sideswiped and I had to push time and that didn't get done, no matter what, it would get done. Or I would never allow the time to get taken from me. And there are ways, like in the productivity challenge, I talk through all this, like if then, what happens, how do you roll? It's based on consequences, but rarely do I miss, even when I have unplanned stuff, because I build my days so that the most important tasks get done no matter what. Then I look at the consequence. So like today, the workbook for tomorrow needs to be done because it's a workbook that gets loaded in the leadership library, and all this, there's a workbook like this one that's for imposter syndrome. It absolutely has to be done today because it's going to need to be done tomorrow. There's no way it won't get done. I need little last touch-ups. Do I need to load the product and whatever? Could I do that tomorrow? If I got interrupted, could I push it to tomorrow? Yeah. What is in the slots tomorrow that would need to be pushed? And so you're looking at consequences. What happens if that doesn't get done today? So let's say you got a customer. Customer says, hey, Aaron, we have an unexpected issue. This needs to be resolved today. And you don't have time on your calendar to do that. Then you decide, okay, hang on, what's on my calendar that can be pushed? I guarantee you a lot can be pushed. And then, okay, you can't lose that customer. Okay, you got to allocate time. So I base it on consequences. Then later today, I'll review everything from today. I'll reflect. I'll go back and look through everything. What did I do? What could I have done better? Blah, blah, blah. I'll watch this a time or two. And then tonight, I'll plan for tomorrow and I'll reset all those things. I don't know that if you're in the leadership program, that productivity challenge is so good. Comment on it. Let's see. Hamid, like it or not, age has a huge factor in finding work. It does. It is a fact that has made the job search challenging for me and perhaps many on this live chat. Yes, ageism is a thing. Don't ever let anybody tell you it's not, because that's just, a flat out lie. It is, but it's not insurmountable. So, there's a lot of people out there that are younger than you are. So how do you assess your approach to your job search, so that you are able to play to your strengths? If you are trying to compete with younger people who are cheaper than you, that have nearly as much experience as you in a particular skill set, if you're going to an organization that doesn't value your wisdom, I wouldn't even play that game. I wouldn't even waste my time. So I would be targeting organizations that welcome people in our age bracket because of what they've seen. So there are 22-year-olds that are out there that value my 57-year-old mind and experience. There are 22-year-olds out there that would rather talk to a 27-year-old career coach. That's fine. That's a better coach for them. So if that's how they view the world, or that's what they feel more comfortable with, there are organizations that are out there that will value your wisdom. If you're looking at startups where the average age of the people in the organization is 28 and you're 58, well, that's probably not a smart place for you to be interviewing. I wouldn't waste my time. So and then if you do get interviews, then I have videos on the YouTube channel to help you overcome that. There's a number of ageism videos that I have out there that'll help. And in the interest of time, I do need to button this up at 12:57. Ian N49, is the leadership program session tomorrow over Zoom? It is. They're all over Zoom. So Ian, if you are you in the program? Any of my leaders, we've sent you a number of RSVPs. In case you didn't get it, support@milewalk.com. It's at 11 o'clock, or the replay will be in it by 1:30 when we're done. All right, listen. Grab the booklet. It's a gem. And if you have any questions about the leadership program, support@milewalk.com. I love this stuff. By the way, I know many of you know that my fourth book is coming out. July 9th, 2024 is the target date. And this is in the book. What you saw today is in the book. And 15 lessons of skill sets are in the book, and a bunch of other really fun stories and funny. And my acquisitions editor, no, I can't even say that. No, I'm not going to say that. they're really excited. The publisher is really excited. They've got the book and they love it. And I not one word written by ChatGPT. And I can't wait to get it in your actual hands. I really can't. It's going to be something else. So Kara's telling me, oh, fan of Andy. Andy gets an A++++ for showing up week after week. Thank you for your ongoing guys. You are welcome. By the way, I'm number 1 fan of Andy. You know how much I love that handle. Number 2, thank you for the remark. And number 3, can we end on this note? Show up. Whatever you do, show up the same. So the people around you, your teammates, your boss, your customers, your whoever, your family, your friends, the greatest people in this world, the people that enjoy the most satisfaction, fulfillment, success, however you define it, are the ones that show up the same. They're consistent. They're there. And yeah, I could do other things at Thursday at 11, but it's our time together. It's our relationship. I want to show up the same every week. And I want you to do that. When you show up at work, are you showing up with the right attitude? Yeah, I get we don't always get to do things we love. I have some things that I don't absolutely love, but the mission matters. When the mission matters, all the stuff that is minor inconveniences, that's all it is. So you're going to have a lot more fun. You show up the same, be consistent. If you ever have a day where you lack the motivation, your discipline and consistency will get you through it. That's what matters. All right, speaking of, I got to run because I like being on time. It's 1:00. You guys be great. I'll see my leaders tomorrow. Got any questions? You know where to find me. Otherwise, I'll see a bunch of you in your inbox Tuesday. And we got a whole bunch of stuff next week. Lots of goodies. All right, see you then.